You've really got to pay attention to this because it's being the fastest moving technology in human history doesn't help the fact that we are all, shiny object syndrome creatures anyways in general. And it is, if you get into AI, it becomes fun. Like you enjoy doing more and trying different things and all of that.
This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe and let's geek out on AI.
You've really got to pay attention to this because it's being the fastest moving technology in human history doesn't help the fact that we are all, shiny object syndrome creatures anyways in general. And it is, if you get into AI, it becomes fun. Like you enjoy doing more and trying different things and all of that.
This is AI Marketing Experts, where bold marketers and next-gen AI collide. Each week, join us as we decode trends, test tools, and share real wins from the AI-powered front lines. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk and smarter marketing. Tap subscribe and let's geek out on AI.
Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of the AI Marketing Experts podcast. I'm going to start this one off with a phrase that we all know of. Death by 1,000 cuts. Right now, we're going to talk about death by 1,000 subscriptions. So we're in the world of rapidly changing AI. You tune in every single week. I know you do. You listen to us intently. You stop everything in your world around you just to see what we're going to talk about this week. And this time, we're going to be talking about, holy crap, how many different AIs are you using right now? How much is it costing you? Do you even know which ones are in use? Do you have things that you bought that you're holding on to that you don't need anymore, that you don't even know? Maybe you think you got a deal and you want to keep that same subscription. How do you even figure this all out? So I don't think any of the other panelists have any of that problem like I do, where I've got things I didn't know I had and AI and tools and team members having AI that I'm paying for and they're paying for that just sitting on the shelf collecting dust. But if I'm the strange odd man out here, please tell me so. But if not, let's open it up to the distinguished panel and let's talk about what do we need to know now that we are in the world where everybody and their brother is coming out with AI tools and they all seem really cool and shiny until you look at your credit card.
I think that is one of the best places for business owners to start is their credit card statements because to your point, there's a lot of deals, a lot of excitement. We didn't want to let go of maybe one that was working, but now we heard that something might be working a little bit better, or we wanted to trial something, realize that trial turned in now to a monthly subscription. Auto pay on that credit card just happens so naturally that boom, we don't know what we're fully spending. So I would recommend, of course, is auditing your credit card statement, having a look, and just stepping back. We're always talking about auditing our own time, but auditing, I'm going to get that out. We're going to audit which AI we actually open throughout the week. Which one are we actually using? And that's a great place to start. And then before you start canceling, definitely talk to your team because you do not want to interrupt their workflow by canceling something.
That's a
Very
good
good
point
points. Yeah.
to remember to ask your team because like I might not be using ChatGPT, for example, like nearly as much as I used to. And so maybe I think, oh, I'm going to, get rid of that one. But I know Joe on my team uses that one. So, or Manus is a good example. I used it. Now I don't. It's hanging out there. Like,
Yeah.
And now is a perfect time regarding Manus is to evaluate that with the changes that are coming on. Did you back it up? If you're just now listening and haven't opened Manus lately, you will notice a pop-up as soon as you do that they are now asking you to back up because they will be changing here at the end of the month. So I think the time of recording, there's only maybe 9 days left in making that change. So you do want to download, but is it a time to cancel that subscription or not?
This is all really making me think too, because right off the bat, what you two young ladies just said made sense to me as far as, okay, maybe some of my team uses ChatGPT. I'm paying for that, but I don't use it that much. But think about this. You could use Gemini, which is very, very similar, and you probably already have plenty of credits just through your Workspace account, which all
Hmm.
my team they all have emails, so they all have through my company, so they all have that ability. So I'm thinking out loud here, going, okay, well, we maybe don't need to pay for ChatGPT anymore. The flip side is I also have a subscription to GenSpark, which I use a lot and I like a lot. They have unlimited chat right now, at least till the end of the year. So again, that I can add team members to that on my account. So I'm just thinking, hey, you know what? Now's the time to consolidate. And I know we're going to dive deeper into how we can manage some of these things using AI tools to determine what subscriptions we have, not just AI tools, but I think that it was mentioned shiny objects. And we all have subscribed to a lot of shiny objects, and it never fails. Every year, something will come up on my credit card. And I'm like, what the heck is this $200-300? And then you have to go back and try to cancel it. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. So having a way to manage subscriptions, not just AI tools, I think is a great topic.
And I think that you just brought up a very valid concern when it comes to yearly over monthly. And I think that would be something that we highly recommend to business owners. Yes, it is a savings to pay for yearly, but in the end, if it's ongoing and you forget 1 year and then the next year, how much did it actually save you? If it's just going to surprise you next January that you were invoiced for that again. So I would recommend too that if you are doing that audit on your credit card, consider the whole year to see which ones you are paying for yearly, which ones then you can mark to evaluate closer to the expiration date. And then as you are investigating new platforms, can you do or should you do monthly instead?
And a couple of things that we wanted to put on the radar is there are like every tool has an AI added in and an enhancement. Like ClickUp is how much per user if you wanted to add AI onto it. And I mean, there's everything, Slacks, and like every tool has now an AI layer that is their upsell.
Hmm.
But we also know that all of the major LLMs, Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Computer, all that kind of stuff, they tap into, they can use your browser, log in, and do many of those things. You can use connectors, MCPs, as they're called, so that you don't have to log into the tool or use the tool's AI feature if it's an enhancement, because you can now, maybe 3 months ago you couldn't, 6 months ago definitely couldn't, but now you can go through a different tool and access all the same data without having to pay for the extra AI inside that tool per user. So worth thinking about as well.
And you know, and I've recently gone through this, and I shared with y'all that you know, typically as a business owner, I typically go through expenses once a quarter, right? Go through all of our business expenses and try to determine what subscriptions are out there that we don't need, and I mean everything that we're talking about here. But it's a pain, and I put it off. And I put it off and I put it off. And then eventually I end up getting down and actually doing it. But the problem is that it is very time consuming, right? To go through 3 months worth of expenses and determine, oh, do I need this one? Do I need this one? Do we need that? Right. So I, of course, built an agent to do that. That's,
Of
because
course you
I'm like,
did.
why am I doing this? Why, let's have someone else do this. Right. And so I built one, and it did really, really well on determining, okay, well, here's all your expenses. Here's the big ones, coming from the top to the bottom. Get rid of this, this, this. And then I basically then built it to where it interviewed me and asked me, is you or your team actually using this anymore? Basically all the stuff that we've just been talking about here, right? And it helped me identify at least $1,000 worth of expenses that I could get rid of, which is huge, honestly. I mean, if you think about that, that's $12,000 a year that we were paying for subscriptions that we weren't using anymore, or things that we could consolidate, you know? And doing this exercise, mind you, I found out a couple of things. Of course, I'm a Claude guy, so I like Claude, right? So I did this inside of Claude Code because I like it. You just point it to a folder on your computer, start up Claude Code in that folder and tell it to go through your expenses. Everything stays contained locally. Okay. You're not giving up passwords. You're not doing any of that kind of stuff. What I found out, because I was like, well, let's build a little plugin for this or something like that, maybe the Amy community can use. Well, guess what? I had it also do it in Cowork, right? Because I figured that there's a lot in our community that might be using Cowork versus Claude Code. Here's what I found out, right? Is that Claude Code stays locally on your computer unless you're in the cloud version of Claude Code, right? But if you're like me, you're in a terminal or you're using Claude Code on your computer, it stays locally there. Okay, that information does everything. If you do it inside of Cowork, they built that in a way so that if you upload a folder, point it to a folder, it's actually going to take that information and store that in the cloud so that you can use that on your phone as much as you can on your computer. So your information from a privacy standpoint goes up into the cloud. So just be aware of that anytime that you're working in between Claude Code or Cowork, right? And that was a big aha moment for me on that because I kind of viewed them as interchangeable, but they're not as far as privacy goes.
That's a good point, Chris, because even when I opened up Claude today, that was something that popped up and asked, you can go ahead and do it this way so that you can still work with this project on your phone. And so, to your point, know what the privacy is, what you want to keep safe and sound locally just before you start any and make those decisions.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to like, and as Chris, you like broadened it out to like, yeah, the whole like your bank statements, your credit card statements, all you can go as deep. If we're just starting with like the AI subscriptions and stuff like that, same process. Have an AI interview you. What do you currently use? Have a list. We're all bad at it. Maybe some of you guys listening are better than me, but having a list of everything that you've signed up for, when, why. If you don't have that, have the conversation with AI to help you go identify those things. And then any tool that you're using that has AI built in, is that included? Is that not? Did you try? Because you need to get that ground level foundation. Because once you get that foundation, you can have any one of these tools go look, maybe not a connector, so it's exposed data, but go look on my computer. I'm logged in right now. Go look, grab the numbers, find out what usage I had. Like, Chris is a power user on Claude, so he's got the Claude Max 200 plan. I'm not quite as power user. I've got the Max 100, so 5 times less for my $100 than his $200, but I want to max out every 5 hours and not max out or get close to, but not max out my weekly. So I don't feel stressed near the end of the week and still have enough room at the end of the month, but be really close to the usage so that I feel like I'm getting as much value as possible. And so how do I monitor that? I literally have an AI agent that runs a little job that goes and opens and looks. Where's your usage? Where's your usage? And it reports back to me just to tell me that. And we've actually looked at other like Dead AI that I had. Chris and I both had ZAI, GLM, it was called. I went to the 3-month plan to try and get a bit of a savings. And we looked at that and said, you know what, as of August 17th, so next Monday, I guess that is, we're deprecating that completely. It's like, do not renew that, cancel your subscription. We're not using it enough as a fallback or anything like that over the last 90 days, not worth it. It made that decision for me, but it wired in the stress test to get up to that moment, right? So things like that. I've also rolled back some plans to the cheapest possible on other ones that I've been testing and playing with, so that I'm paying maybe $9 instead of $20, instead of $40. I think I started Manus at $40. Now I'm on their placeholder. It will be gone soon because I literally just don't use it. So it's like things like that. Like you've got to always keep an eye on it for sure, and have your AI tool and friend help you build that table and that cadence to check your usage so that you don't put hours and hours and hours behind it. Get that right. Now go look at your credit card subscriptions and all that for home and work and office and life, and do you need the what are the prime photos and the and your iCloud storage and all that kind of stuff as well? Are you going to be death by your $9, $15, $20 Hulu's and Netflix and all that as well? All of it kind of. Have you watched a movie on that in the last 6 months? No. Well, that just cost you $100. So it's all of it's good thought.
Yeah. And by the way, you're talking about having it go and analyze your usage and all that kind of stuff. I highly recommend that you also have it optimize your usage, right? Not just analyze it, but optimize it. So I have a weekly routine that runs and comes back and optimizes my Claude MD, okay, for how I am coding. So y'all heard me talk a couple of weeks ago how Opus 5 just ate through all of my credits, right? So it was the same thing. And I'm having it optimize the way that I'm building things. Like instead of using Opus, let's say to build something, I could probably get away with Sonnet, right? Sonnet's way cheaper than Opus is. Okay. Fable obviously is way more expensive when it comes to token usage. So you want to reserve that to do specific things. Well, I've had it go through every week. I've got a routine that runs and looks at how I have built stuff and continues to optimize things as best as it can in that moment right there. So that's another way to have it help you, right? Not only find those subscriptions, which is what this episode is about, but also to optimize your subscription itself, like the way that you're coding. Do you need the $200 a month plan if you've optimized it so much? Possibly not,
Or even just ask. Like, I think that's a great, it's like, hey, I'm about to do this. What model should I use? Just ask it. Like, that just like, again, the AI has the answer. Like, do model research, come back to me and tell me, well, that one actually could be done by Sonnet. It's just technical and tactical. We can do that. We don't need to do deep thought. I would go all the way up to Fable, get an answer, and then take that and hand that off into another chat. I've had all of those answers without, like just as I'm building a one-off or doing something, I don't know the best model to use. I just ask it.
Yep.
I think that since we're talking subscriptions and costs and costs that we forget about, I think that we might want to bring in the whole AppSumo situation.
Oh, no.
What's that, Jen?
Yeah. Okay, Brad, go.
Those of you who know AppSumo, you know what I'm talking about. Those tools.
Lovely.
And right now, so many AI tools. So those AI tools that you purchase and then you forget to try about, or you start it and then so you can, now I haven't done this yet, but so I do have Claude helping me to look at my credit card statements and things like that. But I also want Claude to look at my AppSumo history and show me what I'm not using, what I started using and have forgotten about. Like, what are your guys' situations with AppSumo? I hope I'm not the only one with these tools that I'm forgetting about out there.
I think it's our intervention as our group, right, Brad? It's our intervention.
Yeah, it's time for intervention. Yeah, I just moved the AppSumo tab over of my 94 tabs open. I moved it closer to where I might look at it again because it's so easy to buy tools and software. And unfortunately, on a lifetime deal, you're not necessarily incurring you're not having a recurring charge usually. But like Jen says, I've bought in so many over the years. And unfortunately, most of the time they do have a 60-day return policy. So I know I've got a few that I need to decide. Like I know one tool I bought a week and a half ago. I haven't even set it up yet. It looks cool. So yeah, it's one of those things where you're going to use this kind of stuff. Great. But I'm sure that there's at least 4 or 5 probably pretty good tools that I have not really implemented.
So one thing on there, if your AI, like again, if you've got your AI helping you, you've got your Claude or whatever, your ChatGPT connected to your calendar, not a bad idea to start connecting, emails and calendars and some of that basic stuff. All the tools now do it. When you do buy an AppSumo, have a conversation that says, hey, I just bought this AppSumo. Here's a screenshot. Here's what I'm planning to do with it. It's got a 90-day return or a 60-day return policy. can you set up a little bit of a reminder system for me to test it and make a decision before, a week before the deadline date and things like that. There's a little use case of almost like an assistant without having to have a whole full assistant. Just put it in your Google Calendar or whatever, wired into one of your tools. And then at least you've created that pace for yourself. And Brad and I, we both know that as well, that a lot of these AppSumos, you're helping fund a app that is trying to get off the ground that may never go anywhere. That's why they give you the lifetime until they roll out. Things like Loom started on AppSumo and stuff like that, right? But what they all end up doing is, especially with AI, is I think it's a little bit of a game they're playing now. The app is super cheap lifetime, maybe $50, $100, $200, but then you have limited tokens. And you have to add token subscriptions on. So they know they're going to make money on the token backend anyway. So now that AI is sort of this add-on thing, a lot of the apps in AppSumo or any of these types of places, they know they're going to get a recurring subscription if you end up actually using it, because you're going to run out of the base level tokens pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Right. I think just quickly too, we don't have to stay stuck on AppSumo like most of us are stuck. But when it's a shiny object thing. When you're like, oh my gosh, this tool looks amazing, I get a lifetime deal on it. What AppSumo does is they give you an option to stack the deal. So you get tier 1 with limited data or limited limits, or you can go to tier 4, tier 5, even tier 10 sometimes. You're like, oh, well, I'm for sure going to use this one. I better get tier 10, for $1,000, right? Well, sometimes I know I've got at least one I need to look at that's getting closer to that 60-day return. I know I put $400 into it, thinking, I'm not using as much as I thought. Do I keep it at that? You can downgrade, in your 60 days. So if you bought multiple tiers, you can downgrade to less if you're just not using it.
With all of these subscriptions that we're talking about, that I think that is something to consider is if you've been using one tool that does something for your marketing, uses AI to do something, it could be something that you can do with Claude now so that you don't have that extra subscription. You can move things into everything is so much more capable now than it was a year ago, 6 months ago, everything. So can you reduce your subscriptions? The answer is probably yes, depending on, what subscriptions you have.
And I'll open that up to Chris, because we've had that conversation a bunch of times about how skills became the new standard, right? So, we go back to this time last year and we're talking Perplexity came out with Comment Browser and they it wasn't called skills. They had what was the daily things called? Do you remember, Chris? And it was whatever it was. And it was sort of the first iteration of what a skill was going to be. And ChatGPT had custom GPTs, and the instructions and the knowledge set kind of also sort of there. Nowadays, everything's portable. You can have, if you wanted to turn old custom GPTs that you built, can't do it if somebody else built it because you don't know what they put in the background, but old, custom GPTs you built, maybe a project in ChatGPT where you've got knowledge and you've got instructions and you've got all that, you can get your other LLM. If you want to move everything over to Claude, for example, or, again, now ChatGPT's got work, it's trying to compete the other way, but everything is around a skill. So if you've got a centralized skills deck versus, where you keep them on your computer, you keep them on a GitHub, you keep them on a repository somewhere, you own them, right? They're portable. You can point a totally different LLM at it. So don't feel that I got to keep this subscription here because I got things over there, and I've got to keep this subscription here because I got things over there. Ask your AI friend, how can we port that over and turn them into something that's usable, portable, and that I own, that isn't uploaded to a cloud somewhere that ties me to that platform?
And I think that we need to circle back around, because it's been a while since we talked about any kind of AI that's in a wrapper, a special industry wrapper and everything. Okay. And that too, I think they need to evaluate. I'm going to recommend, my customers to evaluate as to whether it's worth keeping, because yes, it may have your industry name within it, but is it actually giving you enough to justify that extra cost? And sometimes it might just be $10 extra But again, have a discussion with your AI to find out, is there something worth that extra fee? Or is it
That's right.
just a pretty wrapper?
Yeah.
Right.
Good
And
point.
sometimes too, you may buy an AI tool that looks really good in June of 2026, whether it's a wrapper or it's not. But in August of 2026, if they're not kind of keeping things up to date and what have you,
Mm,
AI stuff changes so fast, it may be totally useless at this point or much less useful.
That's a
yeah.
great point.
Yeah. I was going to say to our
Like
agency
new
friends
computer.
listening as well is the team members. We did talk about everybody's got team members that have their subscriptions. I've got a director of AI, new director of AI, and what we agreed to is I would split half the payment of his Claude Max because he had to go up, in plan because I know he's going to be using it personally and for other things as well. So we made the decision that on his paycheck he puts $50 once a month, and I pay half, he pays the other half, and that was our negotiation as well. But we're also massively working towards, and almost there, all of our team members just log into a central VPS. So where you take this stuff and build a dashboard, and then inside that dashboard, the agency can pay for the level of subscription and tokens that everybody taps into instead of each member having their own. So we're running really fast. So it's like a Teams account. It really is, but you can build your sort of your own. So it is, you know, you can sort of max out your max plan because your team's involved with that, and build your rollback that if they max out the max plan, we've got to roll back to something else for, and keep a monitor of that without everybody having these little stubs of plans that they're barely using at full cost. And so there's a lot of layers depending on once you do the interview and the understanding, you can start sort of planting the seeds and planning how you're going to clean your own self up. And then if you are an agency owner or a company that's got everybody with their own little individual plans, are we moving towards a direction where that could be centralized as well?
And I want to add to that. The answer to that question is yes, absolutely. And I do have my own subscriptions to everything because some stuff I don't want to share with my team. I want it to be just mine. Like that's understandable as the business owner. And then I have shared subscriptions for the team that they use one email address that they all use for, to log in with that shared email. And then of course, people on the leadership team, they might have individual, subscriptions as well, but not everyone needs their own subscription. Especially because we do so much together. Like it might start with one person, then it goes to someone else, and having the context from everyone together, it's helpful. So I do like
I'll
having a shared.
I'll build on that, and I know Brad will jump in here regarding Google and just Gemini and with
That one's
Notebook.
different. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Notebook, we find with our agency, it's nice to have everything within the notebooks, and the team can go ahead and they know what's there. So it's not building separate silos that we think, oh, the creative team needs this, the content team, we're not pulling from different things. So within the notebook, it works out very well. Again, we're within the G Suite. So we have the Gemini. So I think that's what business owners need to look at. How will everybody connect to get the same information so that it can be amplified throughout the organization, throughout the small business, so people don't feel like they're building their own individual silos. Excuse me.
Yeah. And I would totally was not thinking about Gemini when I was saying, people log in together. That the Google products are that different kind of because we're all Workspace, so we have our individual accounts too. But
Or yeah. And as Chris would tell everybody, we should just all just jump on Microsoft and go to Copilot, right? So, and that would be the way we just solve it all.
Honestly, I haven't looked at Copilot in for forever. It might have gotten really smart
It
by
might
now.
have.
Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's right there with Siri. They're
yeah.
out to lunch.
I tell Siri all the time that it sucks, and it's like I don't have to take that from you. So,
Your phone battery's going to die soon and be permanently cooked. They've got a bug in the back end that they can just go, you know what? He's mean to me. I'm going to fry his phone.
Right. Exactly.
So, well, I think we've kind of given them hopefully the audience a good understanding. You've really got to pay attention to this because it's being the fastest moving technology in human history doesn't help the fact that we are all, shiny object syndrome creatures anyways in general. And it is, if you get into AI, it becomes fun. Like you enjoy doing more and trying different things and all of that. And it's kind of, I think some of the different LLMs and AI added on to this and added on to that, tap into that psychology as part of that, $9 a month, $12, $15, $20 a month, they'll never notice and we'll have them for years kind of thing that does exist in the world of subscription. So use AI as your friend to tear apart your subscriptions starting here. Eventually, your whole life, it wouldn't hurt to have that help on everything and download all your credit card statements so you keep it on your system locked away, and then have your Claude Code or your AI go look at that, not up on the cloud, but just, and hey, give me a report, things like that. There's a lot that you can do. Ask a few security questions ahead of time if you don't know, for sure. Don't just kind of wing it. But again, AI is going to help you answer those questions as well. So, just aim at the right things the right way. And yeah, I think the message of this podcast and episode is definitely use AI to help you solve your AI subscription fatigue.
All right.
With that said, anybody got any famous last words?
Not a one.
I think we covered it.
Well, check out the show notes. We've got Take Action with Amy. We'll have some information on this. A prompt is we're going to put in there and stuff like that as well. Like an interview, a way for you to just, get the ball rolling, get started, have it interview you at least and figure out what you've got, at least aim you in the right direction kind of idea. So to do that, you'll, again, in the description, you can go to the link, join the free community, and inside the community is where you get all the fun stuff. So get in there, chat us up, tell us what subscriptions you uncovered you didn't even know you had. Let's have some fun and chat about it. And we'll see you all back here. Same bat channel, same bat time next week. Take care.